Welcome to today's episode of Entertainment Fanatics. I'm your host, Don Wen. On this episode, I'm interviewing Brandon DeVincenzo, who is a bass player for multiple bands such as Desmadre and 92. I asked him some questions about where he got started, was like touring Japan, and his advice for succeeding in the entertainment industry. Let's get started. What got you interested in this part of the entertainment industry?
I think it all started when I was pretty young. I've been playing music ever since I can remember. I would have toys like toy guitars around in my house, and I would use my great grandmother's walking cane, and I'd pretend like I was in a band. And then eventually I started learning the actual instruments. So my first actual instrument was saxophone. And from there, I picked up guitar and I kind of incorporated those notes. And then eventually I joined like the school band. I was in marching band. I then transitioned to playing drums. And then after high school is when, actually not after high school, sorry, let me track back. In high school, I started my first band, and it was with just a couple of friends. And then eventually after high school, I started to get more involved in playing live music. And so with that, my friend Nick here came down from where he was living, and we started a band, and we just kind of wanted to branch out and I guess showcase our talent. And then this happened, I want to say 2011, and we're now in 2024. So it's just been a pretty long journey, and it's just been a constant attendance of just, going to what we call shows. They're not necessarily concerts. They're just more smaller concerts, shows. And yeah, just being a part of that community, you tend to network with other people and build from there.
So, what instrument do you play, and what kind of project are you in?
So right now I'm in like 4 different projects, and my main instrument for most of them is bass guitar, but there's only one where I play guitar. The one that I play guitar in is a band called 92, and the other bands that I play in for bass mainly are just a band called Desmadre. What was the other question? I'm sorry.
What instrument do you play, and what kind of project are you in?
Okay, yeah. So 92, I play guitar, and then for a band called Desmadre, I play the bass guitar.
When Absent of Mind released their first album, how did you deal with the pressure of social media?
I'm glad you mentioned that. Absence of Mind, that was fun. I'm sorry, can you repeat the question one more time?
Okay. When Absent of Mind released their first album, how did you deal with the pressure of social media?
How did I deal with it? I just kind of took it head on. I knew that what we had written was very different from what all the other bands were putting out. So I kind of expected for things to go south and not turn out good because of how different it was. And I kind of just went with the flow. There were days where like there were people that I looked up to in the music scene that were kind of talking down on it, and that kind of brought me down as well. But it also it showed me that it was reaching out to a big variety of people, and that's essentially what kind of turned things around, made things a little more positive. Like, although it may not be getting the best feedback, it's at least being reached out to a lot of people that I would have never imagined that it would have reached out to.
So, what was Toy in Japan like?
The best thing in the world. I absolutely love Japan, and I encourage anybody that ever has the opportunity to go to Japan to visit. It was fun. We played, I believe, 5 shows, 2 of them in Tokyo, 1 in Kyoto, and I believe 2 in Osaka. Does that make 5 right there? 2, 2, and 5. Yeah, yeah, okay. Yeah. So it was Tokyo, Kyoto, and Osaka. And then afterwards, we figured we're here. Let's make the best of it. So we took another week and we visited like Shinjuku, Harajuku. We went to like the Gundam store. It was the best. It was very eye opening. The culture there is very different. The food there is the best. The hospitality that we received was amazing, and the music scene over there is very, very welcoming and very receptive.
You mentioned that you would you go to Japan again?
Absolutely, 100,000% would go back.
What was like being away? What was like being so far away from your family and friend?
It definitely takes a toll on you after a while. Definitely start to miss them. You miss like having them being like readily available. If things were to happen back home and you're miles away, there's not much you can do other than like a simple phone call. So there's definitely times where it could be a little difficult. But there are other times where, just a phone call could fill that void a little bit.
What was the difference between the fans in the United States versus Japan?
I would say the fans here are a little more spoiled just because they get the privilege of seeing an American band at any given day. And then when you have like a band from America going to another country, I feel like the response is a little more different. It's a lot more welcoming because they don't get to see this type of band often. So it's definitely a lot more welcoming for sure.
Are you part of any music organization / union? If not, would you consider joining one?
I'm not part of an organization really, but I think I would for sure. If there was like, well, I need to do my own research for that, but I would definitely join an organization or a music union for sure. Yes.
What advice would you give someone who's just getting started in the entertainment industry in general?
Show up. Simple as that. Just show up. Have some sort of connection. I think there's a lot of people that I've connected with, and it's simply just been through music. Certain albums that we grew up listening to, or certain albums that we're currently listening to, and then just constantly showing up and being active in the community, whether you play an instrument, whether you do a podcast, or whether you write a magazine or sell records. Just got to be involved and be present. That's how I would say you can dabble your foot in.
What are some challenges you face being a band, and how do you deal with conflict?
I would say scheduling. Especially being in 4 different bands. That's 4 or 5 members each band, and you have to kind of work around everyone's schedule. It's another conflict. I mean, with all those different personalities, there can be a lot of disagreements. There can be a lot of ego involved, which can lead to verbal or physical altercations, which is not fun. So that could be a challenge. How do I deal with it? I just completely, not, I don't want to say ignore it, but I try to keep out of it and just kind of focus what's important, which is the music, because essentially that's what I am there for.
What is a musical accomplishment that you are most proud of?
I would say most of the bands that I've been a part of, especially as of recently, within the past 5 or 6 years, going back from like Absence of Mind, getting to tour Japan, and then also accomplishing over 1 million streams on Spotify. And then there's Desmadre. For the past 2.5 years, it's just been picking up. There's been a lot of collaborations with this band. And the response has been nothing but amazing. And then with 92, it's something that, me and Nick have been working on for years, and it's finally coming to fruition. So I think, all of it is an accomplishment, to me, at least.
What is the next project that you are excited about?
I would just say the next releases for the 2 bands that I'm currently active in. For 92, Nick and I have constantly been writing new material that we're excited to put out. And then for Desmadre, we are releasing just like single tracks, and going to be making some pretty big announcements as well. So it's what I'm looking forward to.
And finally, where can the listeners find your work?
All streaming platforms. So Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Bandcamp, anywhere where you can listen to music, basically.
Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you, Don.
If you're interested in Brandon's work, you can find his band on all streaming platforms. You can also find his bands on Instagram at DesmadreXLA and 9xDeuce. Thank you for listening. See you next time.